Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Hey there, welcome into Golf Central after an action-packed day one of the WGC Dell Match Play in Austin, Texas. I'm George Stavrikis with Golf Channel analyst Tripp Eisenhower. Tripp, it seemed down the stretch every match was going to that 18th hole.
Yeah, it was. And what an exciting finish. I love the par 3 17th and then the 18th hole where some of the longer hitters can drive it. But even if you were up around that green, it was not a surefire birdie. But again, this round robin format, I'm a fan of it because we'd have seen Ricky Fowler and DJ and some of the other bigger names packing their bags after day one. But they still have a fighting chance to stay in this golf tournament with some good play on Thursday and Friday.
Speaking of day one of the earlier matches out of the gates pitted Jason Day and Graham McDowell, a couple guys with a major to their resume. Day, of course, the second-ranked player in the world, taking on G-Mac, and it looked like he was in cruise control until the tee on the 16th hole.
Well, he actually started feeling his back, his lower back on the 15th hole, and there you can see that powerful swing. And anytime you have back issues with that kind of power, well, it's going to hurt. Trust me, I know a thing or two about backs, and you can just see how gingerly he's just trying to get into the bunker.
Yeah, it looked like he was in the water off the tee, was actually in that fairway bunker. You see him being very careful getting into the bunker to play a second shot.
And he cannot get to his left side, which tells me it's probably something in his left part of his back. We don't know that yet, but he's very lucky that he played such great golf to this point because he's 3 up, and all he's got to do is finish and hope Graham McDowell didn't make a charge.
So Graham McDowell, as Jason Day watches on from a knee on the 16th green, needs to make this to extend the match.
And so tough to make these putts to keep playing. And G-Mac, well, he lives to fight another day, but he's going to have to play a little better than he did in round number 1.
And it seemed like one of those days with the putter where G-Mac was around the cup but wasn't getting any to really drop, as we take a look at the final tally in the Day versus McDowell match. And you see G-Mac was actually 2 up through 4 out of the gates, and then Jason Day really came alive from that 9th hole on Trip.
Yeah, he did, and it was the kind of golf that Jason Day has been playing at Bay Hill, and as we said, very fortunate to get 3 up before that back injury took a hold of him.
All right, let's get some more info on Jason Day. For that, we welcome in Todd Lewis live from Austin. Todd, what's the latest that you're hearing on his condition?
Well, Jason Day is feeling better than he did when he was competing on that back 9. He did, again, tweak his back on the 15th hole. It was the tee shot on the 15th hole where he tweaked his back, and he continued on playing his match in obvious discomfort. He won his match, and then after the match, came to the clubhouse where he went inside and was treated by 2 physical therapists on site. And he was getting that treatment for about an hour. And then after that treatment, he came out, jumped in his car. I talked to him on the way to his car, and I asked him how he was feeling, and he said, I do feel better than I was on the golf course. And I asked him, was he going to pull out? And he said, I don't think so. And wouldn't you know it, just a few moments ago, actually about an hour ago, Bud Martin, his agent, sent out a statement saying that he plans on being in this championship tomorrow and playing. We're just going to have to wait and see how he feels. Now, Jason has had a history of back issues in the past. In 2014, back issues forced him to pull out of the BMW Championship. Just last year, he withdrew from the Barclays Pro-Am because he tweaked his back. But so far this year, he hadn't had any issues with the back, but that obviously changed today. Now, the big question for Jason is what is he going to do if this flares up tomorrow? Because let's not forget, the Masters is just over 2 weeks away. As a matter of fact, Jason plans to go to Augusta National just next week. So he's going to have to find out how mobile he is with that back and make a decision if indeed he is going to continue to play in this championship. What happens if he decides in the morning that he doesn't want to risk it and he pulls out of this championship? Well, I talked to Mark Russell, who's a vice president of rules and competition for the PGA Tour, and asked him what would be the scenario for the rest of the pool. He said that the next 2 matches would be conceded that Jason would be playing, so that would be an advantage. But Tung Chai JD, who won today, and Paul Casey would also get a win as well. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens tomorrow and how Jason feels if indeed he is going to tee it up. But right now, he said he plans to be out here competing.
Definitely a wait-and-see approach. And remember, at the Barclays a year ago when he pulled out of the Pro-Am, Jason Day still went on to win that event. So could be a scary omen for the rest of the field if he is indeed good enough to go from here on out. Here's a look at Group 2, and it was Tongchai Jaidi in a bit of an upset over Paul Casey, and the winner of the Day JD match on Thursday will control their own destiny on Friday, assuming that Jason is good to go as is expected on Thursday. Tripp, as you mentioned, you've battled back issues in your career. What did you see out of Jason as he's battling that, and what will we see going forward?
Well, it's just so tough. When you're dealing with backs, and anybody who's had back pain, it can take the breath out of you when it tightens up, and it looks like that's what it was doing. It's tough to say. I'm not a doctor by any stretch, but when you're walking this gingerly and things like that, it's just the muscles are tightened up. It could be a disc issue, and if that's the issue, then there's some structural things, and boy, that is an area you do not want to get into. Jason's very fit. He takes care of himself in the gym. He takes care of himself off the golf course. But I expect Jason to give it a try. But more importantly, as Todd mentioned, it's about the Masters, and I don't think he wants to risk that. He doesn't want to jeopardize that. So if it's even close, I think Jason Day is going to take the cautious route and probably pull out of this tournament.
Yeah, definitely be a little more conservative.
Yes.
But of course, you'll be able to tell much more in the morning. How he's going to look and fare on Thursday. Well, let's transition to the guy who's #1 in the world, the former Texas Longhorn standout Jordan Spieth and Jamie Donaldson matching up day one. Spieth, of course, the pride of Texas, already one up, attacking the 5th.
Yeah, the 5th hole downwind today. A lot of the longer players could drive it up right around the green, but Jordan Spieth doesn't need to do that when you have a wedge game like this. And his distance control today was much improved. Very good out of Jordan Spieth.
Looked very locked in with the wedges and short irons here for birdie on the 6th.
Now reached this hole in 2. First putt came up a little short, but 8 feet away, and he's made 3 birdies quickly, George.
He was 3 up at the time. Donaldson showing a little life, though, on the 13th.
Well, there was life in him at the Ryder Cup. If we remember a couple of years ago, he closed out the Ryder Cup, and if you can do that, you can do things like keep fighting, and that's exactly what you would expect out of Jamie Donaldson.
Spieth, though, would close the door on the par 5 16th, his 3rd, and a touch of class.
Yeah, I mentioned he's got a pretty good wedge game, didn't I, George? Look at that beautiful release of the club, using the bounce, and just playing it ideal. That's a tap-in birdie, and he's going to go on to win 3 and 2.
As we take a look at the ebb and flow of this match and Tripp, it seemed like Jordan Spieth in control throughout. He got that early lead and never let up.
Yeah, exactly what you would expect. This is the kind of thing you would see out of Tiger Woods in match play. He would just get ahead and stay ahead, never let you really in the match.
And here's the top-ranked player in the world with Todd Lewis after getting that win to start things up.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Watching you play out there, a couple of words come to my mind. You looked comfortable and you looked aggressive. What words would you use to describe your play today?
Comfortable, aggressive, and then add a couple points, over-aggressive, overly aggressive. Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very solid front 9. Really couldn't have played it any better. I hit the ball into beautiful spots off the tee where I had great angles in, found the greens, had a couple in there close, 3 under through, my first 7 holes, which is in gusty winds, that will most likely get you out to a lead. And made a couple kind of aggressive decisions trying to play as if I'm 2 down when I was 3 up there after making the turn on 11, 12, 13. Really could have played those a bit different, but you live and learn, and fortunately it didn't cost me too much and was able to hold through with those 4 or 5 foot saves to eventually cap it off.
You mentioned earlier this week that you've been excited ever since the PGA Tour consulted you about possibly bringing this championship here. Now you're out there on the grounds competing in a WGC event in Austin. What were the emotions?
It was great. It honestly felt like Dallas. I mean, with the crowd. I mean, it really did feel like a home game. So many hook 'em horns out there, so many people just screaming. Against Jamie, I guess in a way it would have almost felt like a home soil Ryder Cup match. It was that kind of vibe on the first tee, the roars when you get to the first tee, and then in some of the big galleries on the greens, which is really neat. I mean, it's very cool. We tried to soak it in, but obviously you want to stay focused because that's only going to feed Jamie more, and what a great match play player he is. So fortunate that today was my day.
Here are the Group 1 standings, and the matchup that everyone was kind of keeping an eye on was Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. Well, Thomas actually dropped his opening match against Victor Dubuisson, so now it's Dubuisson who was a standout for the European Ryder Cup team in 2014, and Spieth going toe-to-toe on Thursday, Tripp.
Yeah, the winner of that match will control their own destiny, and Dubuisson, never count him out with that short game. He can get it up and down, it seems like, from anywhere.
And Jordan hadn't exactly shown the flashes of being the #1 ranked player in the world his last couple starts. Looked really comfortable, though, in his old stomping grounds.
Yeah, I mean, we said he had the home course advantage. He's played this course more than anybody else coming into this, and it looked like it today. He knew where to position his ball in these winds. The winds were gusting, and the front nine's more difficult because it's up in the trees and you can get caught with some gusts, and Jordan Spieth looked like he knew where those gusts were coming, and he played beautifully today. I said proximity to the hole was an issue that he's got to tidy up a little bit. Today was just spot on for Jordan Spieth. He's going to be difficult to beat the rest of the week.
Well, Jason and Jordan would need directions to that 18th hole. They didn't have to see it today. While world #3, Rory McIlroy, he had to go the distance against Thorbjorn Olesen, who gave him all he could handle. So we take a look at these highlights. Rory 1 down on the par 5 12.
And 212 yards. Rory McIlroy not going to lay up. He said that's what actually cost him the last WGC he played. Remember, he had the lead, and he said he played too cautious. He's not being cautious there, but you know what? You hit it in the water in 2 shots. You still got a chance to save par with a great pitch shot, and that's exactly what Rory McIlroy does. No damage.
Rolls up there. Olesen had a lengthy birdie attempt that he wasn't able to convert. So now the drivable par 4 13th. Rory still only 1 down and taking a rip at it.
Well, no, he's hitting an iron. I don't think he's really going at it, George, because it was back into the wind, and with that club, I think this is just a pull hook. This is just a poor tee shot. You can see that's well short, and that's just a poor shot from Rory McIlroy.
So McIlroy would lose the hole, go 2 down. McIlroy now 1 down, par 4 15.
Well, you saw that 340 yards off the tee. He really said, starting at the 14th tee, I've started to find my long game. Everything started clicking, and there you can see case in point right there.
Match all square. Par 5 16th. Olesen lets a great opportunity slip through his fingers for birdie.
Absolutely. Rory really left the door open after 2 beautiful shots. He made par, and so did Olesen.
So now we are all square. They would have 17. So on 18, Olesen playing his 3rd.
Got to loft it up in the air quickly, and that's a shot that rhymes with clank. Yeah, that's not good.
That's a hard one to watch. Olesen seemingly in control the entire match. Watches McIlroy from off the green for birdie lag it up. As McIlroy gets his first lead of the match on the 18th hole, Trip, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. He only had 2 birdies and somehow squeaks out a win in his first round match.
Well, he described his round as scrappy, and I would definitely say that that's exactly what it was. He did not play his best golf today, but starting at the 14th, he really did. So that could give him a little bit of hope going into tomorrow.
Rory not exactly packing a lot of firepower on Wednesday, but it didn't matter as he gets the win.
I didn't play my best golf, but I was able to sneak away with a win in the end. It's tricky out there. The golf course is very tricky. It's hard to get it close to the pins. It's, I find today it was hard to make a lot of birdies if you weren't making birdies on the par 5s. It was hard to birdie any of the rest of the holes, and the back nine gives you a few opportunities to be a little more aggressive. Overall, I didn't play great the first 13 holes, and then from the 14th tee onwards, I felt like I played a lot better. I had some quality shots coming in when I needed to, so hopefully that bodes well for the rest of the week.
Here are the standings in Group 3. Kevin Na was able to take care of Smiley Kaufman. Both those guys are 1-0 out of the gates. And Tripp, after a strong finish, if you will, at Bay Hill from Rory McIlroy, that's 65 on Sunday. Pretty underwhelming out there.
Yeah.
Do you feel like he feels a sense of relief going forward, or there are lingering concerns that he needs to fine-tune?
Well, in match play, yes, there are concerns that he needs to fine-tune, but, we saw some up-and-down play from Rory at Bay Hill. He shoots a couple of 75s, but he shoots a 67 and a 65 in there. So there's a lot of good things for Rory McIlroy, and it's just basically some inconsistent tee shots. The club was more synced up today, but he just is not clicking on all cylinders like we're used to seeing him when he he's on. The short game actually was pretty solid today, and we know at times that can be a little bit inconsistent for Rory McIlroy, so at least he's got that going for him. But as it's going forward, remember, he did not lose a match last year. He was 7-0, so he's 8-0. He's undefeated the last 2 years in match play, so you're going to get some matches like this where you don't play your best. You could shoot 2-3 over par and get through. Rory didn't. He was around even par, but it was good enough to get the win, and I think that's a good thing for him going forward, in particular the way he closed out his match with some good ball striking.
And Rory, of course, was a runner-up in this event as well a few years ago, so he's no stranger to making it to that final group on Sunday. Well, we've looked at 1 through 3, now 4 through 6. Much more to come in the show. Bubba Watson, he went down to the wire in his match. Check out the putt on 18 that decided things, while Ricky Fowler had his hands full with Jason Duffner to start things up, and Adam Scott, he also went the distance. All those highlights from 3 of the top 6 ranked players in the world ahead on Golf Central.
Golf Central is brought to you by the new Vokey Design SM6 wedges. Progressive design, precision performance.